Dear YouTubers, good morning from Istanbul, Turkey. This is Real Turkey Channel, and I'm your loving presenter Atilla Yeşilada, as always. When our team started this project, Real Turkey Channel, we thought we would mostly be commenting about the Turkish economy and touching upon politics only when it relates to economy or business affairs. But as you know, best laid plans are, something. Somebody said that. Somebody important said that, and I'm sure somebody in the comments section will tell me what it is. Anyway, as Mike Tyson said, you plan before a boxing match and then you forget all the plans when you get punched in the face. I prefer Mike Tyson to all the poets. Today I'm going to talk about Turkey's latest campaign in the Syrian province of Idlib, titled Operation Spring Shield, and how it relates to our President Erdogan's future career. I think this is Erdogan's last chance. If Turkey loses Idlib to Assad, Syrian government, I'm going to call it, Mr. Erdogan will probably lose his position. If Turkey wins in Idlib, which in my view is the more likely scenario, he may hang on through 2021. As you watch this video, I have added some maps of Idlib, both a geographical map and a military map, just in case you don't know where Syria or Idlib is exactly located. It's right at the border of Turkey. Let's start. For one thing, I am not a pacifist, but anti-war and anti-militarist. And it really hurts my conscience to say these things. But from a socio-military perspective, the Idlib campaign was necessary because Assad's plan was to push the 4 million inhabitants of the Idlib province to Turkey, which would have increased the number of Syrian refugees in Turkey to roughly 7.5 million, and win the war, as well as creating a nation where his Alawite faction and the new migrants, Shia migrants from Iran and Afghanistan, perhaps even from Iraq, have a majority or demographic parity with the Sunnis. So he doesn't want Sunnis back. Once he kicks them out of Syria, he doesn't intend to take them back. 7.5 million in Syria and Turkey. A population of 80 million means that within the last 5 years, or within the current 5 years, roughly 10% of Turkish population would consist of Arabic-speaking strangers who really don't share our cultural priorities or modes. You can imagine what a tragedy for them and what a shock for us this would be. As well, we need to feed them, provide for their healthcare and education, and they compete for low-paid jobs with Turkish workers. For all of these reasons, Syrian refugees are extremely unpopular in Turkey, and Mr. Erdogan is certain to lose his popularity or approval ratings if he loses Idlib. In fact, I have provided some polls in English which shows that adding the new parties to be founded by Professor Ahmet Davutoğlu and former economy minister Ali Babacan, and assuming they contest the next election with the opposition bloc, AKP plus MHP no longer have a majority. Add to that potential AKP vote losses in the scenario of Turkey being defeated in Idlib and Mr. Erdogan's chances of being elected, or his party and MHP, its implicit partner, controlling a majority in the Turkish parliament, are extremely slim. it is possible even that several or maybe even scores of AKP congressmen and women would defect to new parties, thus triggering an early election. All I'm trying to say is Idlib is not only a diplomatic matter, a strategic matter, it's also a matter of huge domestic concern to Mr. Erdogan. Now let's move on to the battlefield and how it works. For those of you who follow the Idlib war, and I do my Google search daily, you would think that Turkey is on the losing side. We're completely out of options, that with Russian help, Assad is going to kick our tushin, which is not the reality. Despite the Russian Air Force, Turkey and its allied militia have made significant progress in terms of both conquering some of the villages and townships back, defending Idlib city, and most importantly, taking a critical town called Sarakip. Furthermore, Turkish F-16 fighters, not using the Syrian airspace, and swarms of Turkish armed drones have bombed 2 Syrian airports, thus largely rendering the Syrian Air Force ineffective, at least for the time being. As a result, currently the tide of the war is in favor of Turkey. Now, obviously, if Russia decides to use its Air Force actively against the 10,000 Turkish soldiers in Idlib, this will change very quickly. But I don't think Mr. Putin is that stupid. He doesn't want to lose his lucrative economic ties in Turkey and his friendship with Mr. Erdogan. The most likely scenario is Russian Air Force standing by as Assad and the Turkish forces slug it out, or Russia only providing limited Air Force support to Assad forces and only targeting not the regular Turkish military, but the pro-Turkey militia, nowadays called National Syrian Army, which is very confusing, I know. However, Turkey has other advantages. First of all, we have asked Mr. Trump to send us Patriot anti-missile batteries, which can also be used against airplanes, jets. He's contemplating it, but Mr. Pompeo, the Secretary of State, has said Turkey will be given aid. I also understand that several NATO nations in Europe who have Patriot batteries are thinking of sending them to Turkey. Once we have the Patriots, Russian Air Force will be much more hesitant to attack Turkish forces. At the end, given these considerations, I would think Turkish side would emerge victorious. Nevertheless, I never doubted Assad's army's ability to fight, their prowess, and the experience they have gained from 5 years of fighting. This is going to be an extremely bloody and prolonged fight, chest to chest, face to face, until Turkey pushes back Assad forces to the south of M4 and M5 highways. It may take a couple of months. So far, Turkey lost, I think, 60 or 70 army members, martyred, we call them. And Turkish people, as American people or anyone in this world, are extremely sensitive to their sons and daughters dying in foreign countries. If these losses multiply, despite a victory, Mr. Erdogan would lose popularity. Because Once again, contrary what you might hear or read in the international press, Turks are not genetically nationalistic. We really don't like war, in particular if it is fought in foreign countries like Syria or Libya. Above and beyond that, the economic impact of this war, even if Turkey emerges victorious, is going to be draconian. Now remember, Turkish budget deficits as a percentage of GDP are expected to reach 4.5% this year. Now on top of that, we're going to add the cost of feeding, arming 10,000 soldiers in Syria and our pro-Turkish militia, the cost of flying F-16 jets all the time and ammunition. Nowadays, wars are extremely expensive because you don't use humans, you use technology, and technology is very expensive. I cannot give you a figure as to how much Turkey will spend or waste in Syria, but I can assure you it's going to destroy Turkey's budget. Also, it's going to have a psychological impact. Unless Turkey wins a quick and decisive victory or demonstrates that it's on its way to such a victory, obviously, public sentiment would be negatively affected. People will spend less, worried about the results of the war and the course of the relationship with Russia. Businesses will probably delay their fixed investment decisions. Most importantly, there is a strong relationship with the exchange rate and inflation and corporate profits in Turkey. Turkish lira started the year against the dollar at 5.95. Monday morning, as we shoot this video, it was at 6.24 despite dollar weakness. So it lost something like 5-6%. If these losses continue, and I think they would because investors don't like war, Turkish inflation will shoot up and Turkish corporates who are heavily indebted would have further difficulties to pay off their foreign currency denominated loans or to service them, that's to pay their interest rates. In either way, an already fragile economy would probably experience another recession because of the war in Idlib. Recent polls have shown economic misery, and I have also shown a graphic on that. It is in Turkish, but it shows that to the question of, do you think Turkish economy will improve in the next months? Those who say no are roughly 48%. Those who say yes are 29%. So already people are extremely pessimistic. And that reflects in AKP's votes. This is why I think whether we win or we lose, Mr. Erdogan is going to see a significant erosion in his approval ratings and his party AKP losing votes and potentially deputies. This is truly a battle of survival, not only for Turkey, but also for Mr. Erdogan. You have watched Atilla Yeşilada at Real Turkey channel. I want to thank my producer, Mr. D. And I hope you liked this video, subscribe and share it with your friends and enemies. Bye bye now.